The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Hmm.
I mean, imagine finding out that Jack Bauer, a guy who has literally saved the world on television like a dozen times, just got defeated by
All
Ticketmaster.
right, of all things.
Yeah. You look at the seating map for this highly anticipated concert, and instead of a sold-out arena, it is just a vast digital sea of unsold blue dots, from 24 to empty venues. Today, we're looking at Kiefer Sutherland's candid career confession. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And to really understand what happened here, we have to kind of look past the tabloid headlines, you know. We need to dig into the actual mechanics of the live music industry today.
Exactly. So here is our mission for today's deep dive. We have this massive stack of reports from Whiskey Riff, HOR Magazine, XS Noise, and some incredibly revealing viral Reddit threads.
Oh, the Reddit threads are fascinating on this one.
They really are. And we are going to uncover exactly why Kiefer Sutherland pulled the plug on his entire U.S. tour. And, I mean, more importantly, what this single shocking announcement reveals about a silent crisis sweeping the entire live music industry.
Yeah, and this consolation is so interesting because it forces us to reevaluate Kiefer Sutherland's legitimate standing in the music world. Like when an actor goes on tour, the public instinct is to just roll their eyes, right?
You assume it's just some vanity project.
Exactly, like a guy with the guitar playing weekend karaoke to boost his ego. But a quick look at his trajectory proves otherwise. I mean, he released his first country album back in 2016.
Wow, that long ago.
Yeah, and he debuted at the Grand Ole Opry. He has spent a decade building this really genuine Americana country rock following.
Right, and if you follow his tour schedule, you know he is a working musician putting in serious miles. He just wrapped a highly successful European leg of his Love Will Bring You Home tour. And he was playing legit rooms in places like Barcelona, Glasgow, and Manchester. But here is the question that immediately jumps out at me. How do you go from packing venues in Europe to completely stalling out in the United States?
Well, that contrast highlights a stark difference in touring economies. In Europe, the infrastructure for mid-tier live music is vastly different. You have cultural subsidies, a dense network of accessible localized venues. It's just easier.
So fans have lower travel barriers to attend shows.
Exactly. But in the U.S., touring right now is just a cutthroat, deeply fragmented market. And, you know, Sutherland was actually gearing up to release his fourth studio album.
His fourth. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's called Gray, dropping May 29, 2026. And he explicitly stated this record was heavily focused on complex inner feelings rather than like worldly observations.
So it's a very personal project.
Very. He was setting up a very intimate, vulnerable, 14-stop U.S. leg in these 1,000 capacity venues.
Which brings us to the main event, Friday, May 15th. Instead of kicking off that U.S. leg, he posts a devastatingly honest message on Instagram.
Yeah, he didn't hold back at all.
Not at all. According to Whiskey Riff, he wrote, quote, "With great disappointment, I am going to have to cancel the U.S. leg due to very low ticket sales."
Just right out and says it.
Literally says it. He goes on to say, "I don't think it's fair to the people who have bought tickets or the venues to play half-empty houses." He offered full refunds, and just like that, walked away.
And that level of transparency is almost unprecedented for someone of his stature.
But wait, I have to challenge this from like a traditional Hollywood perspective. In an industry entirely fueled by PR spin, why on earth would you announce your own failure?
That's the big question.
Right. Why not let your management quietly shuffle the dates, issue some vague statement about an unforeseen scheduling conflict or a logistical hurdle, and protect your brand?
Because the fans would see right through it.
Exactly. Admitting you can't sell tickets, it feels like a magician voluntarily showing the audience how the trick is done. It completely shatters the illusion of constant, unbroken demand.
It does. But the reality on the ground is becoming impossible to hide behind a press release anymore. The old playbook of protecting the brand at all costs just doesn't work when the fans have immediate access to the raw data.
Oh, because they can just look at the maps themselves.
Right, they can log on to the ticketing sites and see the empty seats. By getting ahead of it, he controls the narrative before some gossip site publishes screenshots of his unsold venues.
Wow, that's actually really smart. But Kiefer isn't the only one seeing a sea of unsold seats. This is part of a massive, industry-wide epidemic.
It's everywhere right now.
It really is. And that's not even the wildest part. We'll reveal which massive stadium-filling pop stars are quietly dealing with the exact same crisis right after this.
Yeah, the broader context here is what industry insiders are quietly calling blue dot fever.
Before we get into that, if you're loving these behind-the-scenes Hollywood twits, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead. So let's talk about the live music bubble bursting. What is driving this epidemic?
Well, if you log into Ticketmaster to buy a seat, available spots are shown as little blue dots.
The dreaded blue dots.
Exactly. And across the board right now, artists are opening their venue maps and seeing oceans of blue. According to Jubilee Cast and Whiskey Riff, this is the defining crisis of 2026.
And this isn't just hitting legacy actors transitioning to music, right?
No, not at all. Post Malone recently canceled the first month of his big-ass stadium tour.
Wait, Post Malone, he's huge.
Massive. The official PR line was that he needed time to finish an album. But fans noticed those specific shows were drowning in blue dots just days before the announcement.
Oh, wow. So the fans caught the spin.
Yep. And Meghan Trainor, Zayn Malik, the Pussycat Dolls, they have all scrapped tours recently amid drastically low ticket sales.
If you're listening to this and you've tried to buy concert tickets recently, you've probably felt this ticket fatigue firsthand. But I want to understand the mechanics of this collapse.
They're a perfect storm, really.
How did we go from the post-pandemic boom, where everybody was desperately throwing money at literally any live event they could find, to this total paralysis?
We are seeing a structural collapse driven by a few overlapping factors. First, consider the dynamic pricing algorithms utilized by ticketing monopolies.
The dynamic pricing, it's the worst.
It really is. These algorithms are designed to maximize revenue by artificially inflating prices the moment demand spikes. So a fan logs on to buy a $60 ticket, the algorithm detects web traffic, and suddenly that exact same seat is $180.
And then you add in astronomical service fees.
Right. Fees, soaring travel, and hotel costs, plus a looming economic recession. The consumer wallet is just exhausted.
Yeah.
At the same time, the post-pandemic market remains deeply oversaturated.
Because everyone is touring at once.
Yes. There are simply too many tours competing for the exact same entertainment dollar.
It's like everyone was invited to a massive, lavish buffet after starving for a year. At first, you're eating everything.
Great analogy.
But then, suddenly, the entry fee triples, the cost of parking doubles, and you realize you only have $10 left in your pocket. You lose your appetite. You just stay home.
And the tragedy here is who gets squeezed the hardest.
The mid-sized artists.
Exactly. Someone booking a 1,000 capacity room is competing against a massive mega tour. Since fans only have a finite amount of disposable income, they are hoarding their cash for the once-in-a-lifetime stadium spectacles.
Which leaves artists like Sutherland completely out in the cold.
Right. The middle class of the touring industry is effectively being hollowed out. The economics of putting a band on a bus right now, paying for gas, crew, insurance, equipment transport, those costs have skyrocketed.
So the margins are practically non-existent.
Exactly. If an artist isn't selling 90% of a 1,000 cap room, they aren't just breaking even. They are actively losing tens of thousands of dollars a week.
Wow.
So Sutherland's decision to pull the plug wasn't just about playing to a half-empty room. It was likely a mathematical necessity.
That makes total sense. So how did the internet react to a massive TV star admitting he couldn't sell tickets? You might expect the trolls to come out, but later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking viral twist nobody saw coming.
Yeah, the public response flipped the traditional celebrity crisis model completely upside down.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss how this story unfolds. Let's look at how honesty became the most potent PR strategy in Hollywood.
Usually when a prominent figure admits a commercial failure, the internet just sharpens its knives.
Oh, they love a pile-on.
Exactly. However, the viral reaction across platforms like Reddit, specifically RMusic, and Instagram, was overwhelmingly supportive.
It's so true. I was reading through these threads, and people were floored by his humility. One user wrote, "An honest man, a real artist." Another said, "I appreciate the fact that you don't use illness as an excuse, but okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah, for it.
Isn't this radical honesty just another, maybe more sophisticated form of calculated PR? Like, if he's selling a deeply personal, salt-of-the-earth Americana album, playing the humble, defeated musician is actually the perfect marketing spin to build a parasocial bond with that specific demographic.
That is a cynical but entirely valid way to look at it. However, the data points to something more genuine here.
What do you mean?
Fans on Reddit actually did the math on his tour pricing. They looked up the costs for his remaining dates, like a show in Vegas, and noted the tickets were just $49 after fees.
Wait, $49 after fees in 2026?
Yep.
That is practically unheard of. That barely covers the cost of parking at most arenas these days.
Exactly. That specific detail proved he wasn't price gouging his audience. The demand simply wasn't there. Interestingly, a lot of industry professionals in those Reddit threads pointed to a massive failure in targeted marketing.
Oh, really? So it wasn't even his fault?
Well, one user mentioned living 10 minutes away from one of the canceled venues and having absolutely no idea Sutherland was even coming to town.
Oh, wow. That's a huge miss by the promoters.
Huge. This indicates a breakdown in localized promotion rather than a rejection of the artist himself.
Which I think makes his musical credibility even more crucial to this whole equation. If the marketing machine around him is failing, he has to rely entirely on the strength of the art itself.
And the critical consensus suggests the art is absolutely holding up its end of the bargain. Consider the live review from Excess Noise.
Right, they covered his recent show in London, didn't they?
Yes, at London's Union Chapel. The critic explicitly noted that Sutherland doesn't arrive as an actor dabbling in music, but as a true storyteller.
That's high praise.
Very. They highlighted new tracks like American Farmer, comparing its stark look at rural struggles to the work of John Mellencamp or Willie Nelson.
Okay, those are some heavy hitters to be compared to.
Definitely. They also praised Goodbye California, which is a song about his own escape from the Hollywood bubble to the East Coast. And to back up this sound, he's touring with top-tier talent, including Mark Ford from the Black Crowes.
The juxtaposition here is what really captures my attention. He is incredibly vulnerable in his songwriting. He's singing about his flaws, his aging, his changing geography.
Yeah, he's putting it all out there.
And then he mirrors that exact same vulnerability when dealing with the public. You cannot sing a gritty, honest song about the hard truths of life and then let your publicist issue a sanitized corporate statement about a scheduling conflict.
Exactly. The audience would spot the hypocrisy instantly.
Instantly.
The alignment between his artistic ethos and his public relations is seamless. By stripping away the corporate facade, he cultivated a level of trust with his audience that money simply cannot buy.
So true. But listen, Kiefer may have stepped off the stage for now, but if you think Jack Bauer is down for the count, think again. His next moves are wild.
They really are.
We need to talk about the comeback trail, because this is where modern celebrity survival gets really interesting.
Well, the concept of a comeback almost doesn't apply here because his career was never actually in jeopardy.
That's a good point.
We are witnessing the mechanics of a perfectly diversified Hollywood portfolio, from empty venues to Clint Eastwood and Canadian whiskey.
Okay, I want you to walk me through this, because if you're a listener wondering how an actor absorbs a massive canceled tour without flinching, the answer is that they don't just rely on one revenue stream anymore.
Right. Modern fame requires stars to operate almost like venture capitalists.
That is so true.
You cannot rely solely on box office returns or ticket sales because those markets are subject to algorithmic whims and sudden consumer fatigue. According to his official site, Sutherland's slate is remarkably insulated.
Because he's got so many different projects going on.
Exactly. He is currently starring in Juror #2, which is a psychological thriller directed by Clint Eastwood.
I mean, working with a legendary director like Eastwood is a pretty solid day job to fall back on when Ticketmaster lets you down.
Seriously.
Right.
And that is just one sector. He also has a Sky Cinema Christmas movie dropping called Tinseltown, which taps into the highly lucrative holiday streaming market.
Oh, the holiday market is a goldmine.
It really is. On top of that, he is starring in an 80s-style revenge thriller titled Stone Cold Fox alongside Kiernan Shipka. He has completely saturated multiple film genres simultaneously.
And we haven't even touched on the liquor brand yet, which seems to be like a mandatory requirement for every actor in 2026.
It is practically a survival mechanism in Hollywood today. He launched Red Bank Whiskey, a Canadian liquor brand crafted in Nova Scotia.
Red Bank Whiskey, okay.
Yeah. This allows him to build a tangible asset tied to his personal heritage that generates revenue entirely independent of Hollywood strikes, streaming residuals, or tour ticket sales.
It is brilliant. When you look at the totality of his portfolio, canceling a few dates in Boston and Nashville isn't a failure. It is just a strategic pivot.
Just reallocating resources, basically.
Exactly. The music wasn't viable in that specific market right now, so he seamlessly shifts his energy to a thriller, a holiday comedy, and a whiskey empire. It proves that in today's media landscape, versatility is the ultimate armor.
For sure. If you love deep dives into how stars navigate the highs and lows of fame, make sure you're subscribed. to catch all our updates, because the implications of this story stretch far beyond one actor's touring schedule.
Okay, so if we pull all of these sources together, what is the ultimate takeaway here?
I think Kiefer Sutherland's canceled tour serves as a glaring canary in the coal mine for the live music industry.
In what way, specifically?
Well, it demonstrates that even when an artist actively tries to keep tickets affordable, like those $49 Vegas seats, the middle-tier market is buckling under the weight of severe consumer exhaustion and systemic economic strain.
Yeah, the fans are just tired.
Exactly. Yet paradoxically, it also reveals that in an era dominated by hyper-curated artificial celebrity brands, admitting defeat might actually be the most powerful way to secure long-term public loyalty.
And that leaves me with a thought I want you, the listener, to mull over tonight. We are living in a moment where audiences are deeply cynical. We are exhausted by PR spin, fake apology videos, and manufactured perfection.
Oh, absolutely exhausted by it.
Right. So could Kiefer Sutherland's radical honesty actually become the new blueprint for celebrity survival?
That's a great question.
If a Hollywood heavyweight can admit he failed to sell tickets, stare the reality of a brutal market right in the face, and come out looking more respected than ever, is the age of the untouchable Hollywood ego finally over?
It definitely forces us to ask whether vulnerability is now the only premium currency left in pop culture.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.